Hey there, and welcome to today's washi tape vase tutorial. Of course, you know it. Of course, it's from our First Steps Flowers series. My name is Joseph Massey, and I'm your host and tutor for today's session. Let's begin by taking a look at the flowers we're going to need for today's project, and of course the tools that we're required to. Before I invite you very warmly to join me step by step, as together we create the washi tape vases. If you're ready, let's begin. Delicate, meadowy, or lyre is first up today for our flower list, and we'll be teaming this with some scented sweet pea. Does it get better than that? For our third member of our trifecta, we're using some white aquilegia. For our tools today, you will want maybe a roll of tape, or even a couple of rolls of tape of washi tape, and any colour or thickness that you desire. You'll also need a number of vessels to use for today's project. I'm going to be using 3 vases, 3 small acrylic cubes. The technique today is the taped grid technique, and we're going to be using different coloured washi tapes to create our grid. First up, I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to place 3 horizontal strips of tape directly across the opening of my vase. Now we want these tapes to be evenly spaced across the opening of the vase, creating a really uniform grid. And it's this grid, it's in these gaps in between the grid that we'll be able to place our flowers. And the grid actually gives us a further support when we're placing the flowers. It's kind of like a structure, but a decorative, simple structure that takes literally seconds to make. So we're going to place our 3 pieces of tape horizontally across the opening of our vase. It should look a little bit something like this. How simple is that? So straightforward, so simple, and you can do it with any colour or thickness tape that you have to hand. Next up, we're going to rotate our vase 90 degrees and repeat the exact same process. So we're going to be taking the vase, again placing 3 strips across the opening of the vase, and this time I'm going to use a different colour washi tape because we're fancy like that and because we can, so why not? We've now got 6 pieces of tape across the opening of our vase, and it should look a little something like this. I mean, if you can believe it, you've done the hard bit already. We've done our mechanics, the taped grid technique. And now what we're going to do is take a stem or 2 of your layer. We're going to cut off all the delicate little flowers which float towards the top of the stem, trim it down onto a 45-degree angle, that's the bottom of the stem, increasing that surface area so the flowers will be able to absorb more water more easily, and then simply place the stems delicately through the holes in the grid. We want to create a rough, open, domed shape, so a kind of lovely, soft, gentle dome shape. But of course, it won't be a tight, compact dome. It's going to be feeling more natural and more open, which is very much the theme for what we want to achieve here today. With our layer in position, it's now time to move on to our sweet pea, taking a stem or 2 at a time, trimming it on a 45-degree angle, and inserting it delicately through the gaps in our taped grid. You see the way all these stems are kind of arching over and through the actual spaces of our vase here today, creating that gentle, free, loving dome shape, which is very much what it's all about. It's summer, we want it to feel light and airy and delicate, and that's exactly the vibe that we're going for today. It's worth noting that with this technique and with this style of vase, you can use pretty much any flower that you have to hand, that you can buy from your local florist, from the grocery store, or indeed even from your own garden. You don't have to have the specific flowers that I have here in today's project, but if you do, that's no problem at all. You get an extra gold star. For our final flower, we're going to be moving on to our aquilegia, which is one of my favorite early summer blooms. Taking the stem, removing all leaves from it, keeping our water nice and clean, trimming the bottom of the stem on a 45-degree angle using some snips, and then placing the stem directly into the vase. I mean, how simple is that? And how gorgeous and light and fresh does that look? If you haven't noticed by now, we're of course keeping to a very neutral palette, just greens and whites here today for an effervescent, fresh, light summer look. Thank you so very much for joining me today for our First Steps Flowers session today. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned a few cool flowery hints and tricks too. If you've got any questions on the session, drop them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Until then, have a good one, take care, and I'll see you on our next session together very soon. Have a good one.